Good morning from cold Florida here today. I'm Chip.
I'm Steve.
I'm Pam.
Hey, real quick, Pam's our guest today. And, well, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about Pam?
Well, Pam, I met Pam a number of years ago. She was a customer where I was working, and we just hit it off. And she's just such a car girl, has her own Roadrunner, 69 Roadrunner, and that's what just brought us in right there. And tell us a little bit about you, Pam.
I'm automotive applications engineer. Work for a tier 1 company up in Detroit, but I have relocated here to Tampa. I retired from that, which is great. Had my own shop for 20 years, Pam's Motor City Automotive in Fort Myers.
Nice, nice.
And 12 bays, about 15 of us. We had a great time.
Awesome,
We really did.
awesome.
Hey,
awesome.
for all you girls out there, we're always
Yeah.
telling you guys, encourage your kids, bring people up, and women.
Right there, right
look
there.
Look at right here, owned her own shop, an engineer. Get into it,
Yes,
teach your
yes,
kids.
yes.
And women, you can do it too, so get into
And
it.
Detroit born, so she
Detroit
got that
born.
blood of Detroit in her, you
Oh,
know?
yes.
There you
yes.
go, awesome.
First generation tech.
Yes.
Yep.
And we talk so much about cars all the time and have fun. And she's my SEMA girl. Next year we're all going
yeah.
to
There
SEMA.
you go.
This year,
SEMA.
this year.
This year.
This
Yeah,
year,
we're
yeah.
doing SEMA.
One day we want Chip's Garage at SEMA, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
We all
yeah.
want to be there. I want to be right next to Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Next.
Yes. He's on the first floor there.
Oh, okay,
Real
okay.
easy to
First
get
floor,
there.
yeah.
First floor.
All right, so today we've been listening to your response to us on our videos, and we know a lot of you want to know more about what to look for when you're trying to hire somebody to help you with your car.
Real important.
Also, what to look for maybe when you get it back from those individuals.
Yes, yes.
Because there are things to look for not only before, but after. You got to be aware
yes,
of, right? Yeah, so we're going to go in and take a look today at the 69 GTX. And Steve's got something he's going to share with us and what to look for.
And it includes body, interior, and engine like you do. You do a
Right.
lot of engine work, diagnostics. And it's very important because one place can't do it all. I
That's
would say,
right.
you know.
That's right. Yeah, and even no matter how good you get on your own car, you're not going to be an expert at
No,
everything.
no,
I mean,
no.
you can do a lot of stuff, and we can.
Right.
Right. But you don't do everything. Even you can. Right.
Exactly.
I'm sure
Yes.
there's things you're great at. There's things
We
you
all
use
have our
other
fortes.
people.
Right.
Yes.
And you
There
look
you
at
go.
us three, we all have different talents here, you know?
Right. Right.
And that's what makes a car community a community, because
Absolutely.
we're all pitch in
together.
and all together.
Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
that's a great community. You can meet a car person, most of y'all know this, and you feel like you've known him for 20 years. I
Yeah.
feel like I know Pam already.
Yeah.
I just met her
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go inside.
Okay.
Let's take a
Come
look
on
at the
in. Come on in.
GTX.
Why do you pick cold days to do this in Florida?
You tell
It
him
just
from up-
happens
You
that
tell
way.
him from up north
Yeah,
and
yeah,
wear
yeah.
shorts.
All right, here we are back in Chip's garage again.
Yeah. So you've seen this from previous videos. This is the 69 GTX. It's a 440 4-speed Dana car, all original. I got it from the original owner with 89,000 miles on it. Now we're at the end of going on really a 3 to 4 year restoration on this nut bolt roundup. We've done everything on it. So we'll give you an overview real quick. You can see on the inside it's got the split seats and the 4-speed. It's got the big shifter, which I absolutely love. One thing that's neat about this, Steve, is the armrest.
Yeah, I know, I like it.
It's an unusual option for the GTX. A lot of them came with the console.
Thanks.
Yeah, GTX. You can see we're still
We're working on it.
Yeah, you can see we're still doing some work. We got some window issues, crank issues, things within the windows that we're working on, but we're getting really close. Like I said, we're getting towards the end of it here. That's how a car door's supposed to
Yeah, it's
shut.
supposed to shut.
Yeah. So here you'll see is the 440. And again,
That's muscle.
Roundup restoration.
That's muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look at how beautiful that is. I mean, that and a Hemi.
That and a Hemi. And, you know, we talked about this earlier, right, Steve? On the street application stock, a 440 most times
Right.
would outrun
Right.
a street
Right.
Hemi.
Yeah.
Hemi was good at top end, but not at low end, where
and-
these 440s,
right.
you could really make them run, and so you could
And less
outrun them.
maintenance. Less maintenance
a
on
lot,
them. A lot less.
A lot less maintenance, a lot less
Right.
money. So,
Well, you know, I'm happy to be back because, you know, as everybody, all our viewers know out there, I was sick for a few weeks. And I'll tell you what, you know, that 2050 Castro inside me must have helped me get, you know, rejuvenate me somehow.
That's what it
so
is.
I'm glad I'm back here.
Yeah,
you know?
you're glad you drank that as a young man,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Please don't do that at home.
So you can see, no, don't do that at home, kids. It's got the original wheels on it. I always love these wheels, Steve. They came original.
Yeah,
they were like
500s.
original mags.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
What we would call
And
mags.
the guys would throw them off and put Kraggers on them. You know, they were.
I did that.
Yeah, I know. And then jack up the back and cut the wheel wells and
I
the
know.
shackles.
What's funny is I took these off, put Krager SS on it, and then now I love these.
I
You
know,
I took
I know.
this actually had it. What does this have on it? Whole set of American Racing.
American Racing wheels.
Yeah. So.
But that was the thing. And
Yeah.
then the shackles.
Oh you had to have the shackles. Yeah.
And then okay, every time you look at a car lot, you see one of these cars, first thing you do this and see how much of it they ground out for the big slicks.
Oh yeah. Cut those. So of course you can see we redid everything in the trunk as well, and you guys can see this car is totally restored. We've got everything done in it. So when's the last time you seen a Goodyear Polyglass GT? So that's an original old school spare for this car on the original.
Well,
rim.
there's several types of rims. Like GM had a similar rim to that, but it was silver and black.
So did
or silver and
Ford.
gray.
So did Ford, the Magnum 500.
Magnum 500. So they're very similar. All that, you know, and I think they all
Absolutely.
copied each other. But as you see, this car is beautiful. It came back. It looks great. It looks beautiful. But we're going to talk about the different, people involved.
Right, yeah, and that's what he's saying. I obviously sent this out. We ended up, me and my buddy Rick, put floor pans in it. We put a trunk pan in it. Typical stuff, needed some work around the back window here. All you Mopar guys will know this, around the back
right
fender
here.
wells.
Always.
Yeah, but we had to send it out once we got our part of it done to a body guy who's good at doing metal work, right? And we wanted it all redone in metal. So, and then of course, do a good paint job. I can do a paint job, but the paint jobs I do, Steve, are the ones out in the driveway. You know what I mean?
Like what I did on the Crosley with the Wagner sprayer?
Exactly, Wagner sprayer. So to get my car restoring over 3 to 4 years here proper, I send it to a body guy and a paint guy. But here's some things you got to look for. Remember, just because they're professionals doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the way you want, or everything's even going to be exactly right? Mistakes are made. There's also different levels, Steve, of things that we need to know when it comes to paint, right?
Well, yeah, and this is where, I come in. Like, we got the car back. Oh, the other way, sorry. I wouldn't gone all the way and rip the key off. No, but we get the car back. Now, if you could see the surface, I had to take some 1500 grit, and we had to take this off because the body shop only buffed up to here. They only wet sand buffed up to here. We took this off, everything off, and if you could see, there's no scratch marks. It's smooth. There's nothing here. It's just beautiful. I fine-tuned it. That's what I do. I fine-tune it. And to do a good job, you take the chrome off, you get in here with a brush, you clean this. And I usually take a little bit of Armor All or something and go in there and kill the compound. Chip came in here, put a new mat. If you look in here, probably not, but he painted it the correct color, Mopar color. A lot of body shops or a lot of shops, again, they'll paint a car in beautiful paint job, but that's it. It'll go out and they'll get it all cleaned up, but you'll have compound in here and compound everywhere, and that's really ugly when you see it.
Right. Let me jump in on this real quick, Steve, because Steve taught me this about the WD-40, and when he first told me, he cut one of those little paintbrushes.
1 inch.
Yeah, and cut it down where you got it pretty stiff, right, the bristles, and you put WD-40 on it.
Or Armor All.
Or Armor All, and you put down in here in your cracks with that brush, and you rub it a little bit. It's like miracle.
It kills it. It kills it, kind of like dilutes the compound.
Yeah, it makes it goes away. I was shocked because I was trying to get in those crevices.
Here, all around
here.
all around here. See, like if you look at here where they buffed it and used compound, you'll see the white. And the worst thing you do is in a car show is open something and see compound.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's a shoddy job. Like who detailed it?
Well, and that's it. I thought when I got it back, I was like, wow, they did a terrible job because there was all this compound. But again, Can you expect that, or is that a detailer when
It's
you
a
get
detail.
to that? Yeah.
Now there's two detailers. There's one that will do an everyday car, like your car out there or mine, or there's one that's going to be an expert detailer. When I had my shop, I was a highline detailer. We took tires off, we took front ends and detailed some of the spray because there would be overspray, like this would be this color overspray.
Yeah.
So we'd ask the customer, some cars were undercoated, we undercoated the wheel wells, we sprayed everything. Because the worst thing to do is look over something and see the same color blasted
hate
through.
it.
Yeah, unless it was made for it.
Yeah,
Unless it was made.
And again, that's a good point. Expect a little overspray on the chrome, on different things. One other thing I want to point out here, Steve, before we do, and you mentioned this, we had to replace this panel. So we had this back panel tray replaced on this car. One of the things the body shop did not do was do the sealer underneath.
Right.
Yeah, so again, something to look for when you have heavy body work done, especially on metal.
Right.
Make sure the inside sealing's done, because that's not necessarily their responsibility unless you clarify it.
Right, right.
So know
And
that
it's
you,
more money.
Yeah. So you actually prep and clean the raw metal.
Raw metal.
Yeah, and then there's a like a paint,
Sealer
an epoxy, yep, that you put on it inside there, and then you seal all your crevices and your gaps where the
Right,
panel or whatever
And
was put on.
Your exhaust could go up through, moisture can go up through into your interior and so forth.
And water can go down inside.
Can go in there. Not that it's going to stay outside and all that. But
Come on over here.
come on over here. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know if anybody could see it, but I usually use a light. And what I do is I like to
Can you
see
see
my.
that from an angle on that?
You probably can, but I always tell
Like the
everybody.
scuff marks?
There's like scuff marks right here. Right here. That's where they sanded it and just buffed it with a compound. They don't take 1,500 or 2,000 and buff it out with a glaze, swirl mark remover or a glaze to get it like this, like glass.
Glass.
And I always like to say, I like to see my Nikes in the quarter panel, come up to it. And I love to see the reflection of grass at the car show or pavement or something. And you can see right here where they never really even wet sanded it. They just kind of buffed over it. And, when you're out there in the sun and you're looking around, you can see it. Right there with that light, you can
looks
see.
terrible.
You can see what they did. They didn't do exactly what. But again, they're detailers. That's it. They just get it done,
Right.
get it out.
Well, the guy who came in for them, they painted
Great
it.
job.
Yeah, they painted it, and they did it with the old school paint, which
Sure.
is what I wanted, right? And restoring the car.
Sure.
But when they had somebody to come in to do the compound, it was just a rough compound.
Right,
That's
right.
all it was.
Yeah, right.
It was just to get the clear coat to come out a little
right,
bit.
right,
but that
right.
was it. But they didn't high detail it like you're talking about.
And the tires, you have to take some nice tire cleaner. I use Purple Power. I'm not plugging Purple Power, but I love Purple Power where to get the white letters right back out. And also when you come over here, excuse me. You come in here, and this is very critical right here. Like here, this is nice because I see this compound right here we want to take off, and we'll get some touch up and touch it up with a brush. This isn't painted, that's not painted. This is nice, but see there's a little bit of compound here. We want to take that off. If we can't get it off, if we can't rub it out of there, we'll put a little touch up on there. Again, you'll see how this isn't painted. This is nice. They didn't paint over this. They didn't paint over this. So it kind of looks factory. So when you open it up, it looks original. It really looks nice. That's the difference between the men from the boys when you
That's
show
right.
up.
That's
right. This is a big critical area. I see a lot of people right here. You can see it right here. There's compound in here and in here, and they didn't sand this right here. So we're gonna. I was talking to Chip. I said I'm gonna help them wiggle it out and get it straightened up. And I don't like slamming doors. So what do you think, Chip?
I think you go ahead and show us how to do it. I'm excited.
Well, there's the first thing is I always I wear one of these around here, my back, because when you're bent over, you're getting older, bent over and all that, you're gonna have some aches and pains, okay? And then once I do that, I usually get a mat or a foam on the ground, or we put it up on a lift. We could put it up on a lift and do it also, but we have another car there. Then I have a sandpaper here. I have 2000 grit, which is very fine, okay? Again, I'm not plugging any company or anything like that, but I'm just saying whatever company. Just because it's NASCAR doesn't mean anything. But this is wet, dry. And what we do is use it, it's real fine. I have some 1500, and we're gonna really scuff it a little bit with 1500. And we have to be careful because around here we have to be careful, around here we have to be careful, because if these are just glued on, you can rip them off with the buffer. I like taping stuff off so we don't get compound in here. Plus, if I tape it off, I don't want to burn an edge. When we buff it out, after we get done wet sanding, we use a good compound. And I'm not plugging any product, but I like 3M myself. That's me. You know, 3M compound heavy cut, and then we also have a swirl mark remover. When we use heavy cut, I use a wool pad. I still use this. It works out really well. And when I do the buffer, when I use the buffer, I have one of these variable speed buffers. This one here, I probably made about $10 million on this buffer using it.
$10 million.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it for years. Yeah, rich. And you know, I usually put the cord around me, and when I do it, I roll it up here. I buff along and I roll it up. I do not ever buff on an edge. Never buff on an edge. I come up and just roll it up with the body and follow it. Because if you were to get the edge, I don't know who the painter was. I don't know how much clear he put on the car. Right. And I have to be careful. I don't want to burn the paint.
Right.
And then if I burn the paint, then we have another story, different story. So once we clean all that, then I come over and wipe it all off, take a damp cloth and wipe it off. We tape off this. We want to put a towel over this because we don't want excessive compound.
When you tape, use the blue tape.
Blue tape.
Blue tape. Get good blue tape too. They make cheap good.
And don't get it wet. Don't get it wet.
Right.
Because but this works good for the house when you paint. And also when you put it here, say you could always also put it right here if you want, so you don't want to burn the edge. But also this stuff here, you want to peel it. When you peel it, you want to do this real slow. Okay? You don't want to go rip it off,
right?
Because you don't know if the painter sanded under it or not.
That's right.
If he didn't sand it, as soon as you go like this, you'll take part of the paint off.
Yeah.
There's so many precautions when you do highline cars. I've always enjoyed it because the excitement of getting it done, what it looks like. But I always peel it back just real slow like this, and take your time. Okay, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you don't have to buff your car out.
And that's the key. Anytime you're working on a car, you know, it's always better to take your time, right? Pam? Even on mechanics, right?
Yes.
Think it through, take your time. Accidents happen when you're going fast. You get frustrated when you're going fast, but I know with detailing like you're talking about.
One day I was on the phone, and it was starting to rain, and the clutch was really funky on this MG, and I backed it, and the door swung open, hit the concrete, and folded the door right in half. And the worst part about it is the customer comes down, he tips his glass and he goes, I've had this car for 20 years, I never put a scratch in it. And that like put a wood stake in my heart, you know. So, you know, accidents happen, but you don't want them to happen.
Right.
And the best thing to do is put your phone away. If you like music, put it on real low and tell everybody, get out of the garage.
Yep.
You know, and
Don't
that's it, be by
talk to
yourself, no talking.
That's right.
And no on the phone, just, if you like some music, just put it on real lightly and just kind of, you know, go for it.
Right. And today, like Steve's showing you, you can buy all this stuff yourself. You guys all know with the videos on YouTube and everywhere else, you can YouTube things and learn how to do this stuff yourself. Practice on something, right?
Go to a junkyard, buy a hood.
Exactly.
Buy a trunk hood, buy a hood that's faded.
Yeah,
okay,
Or you may have a friend who has old car parts, fenders laying around, whatever. Practice. It's like welding. Practice. Get on something that you're not doing and practice.
Wet sanding, huh?
Take your time.
How many cars did you practice on working on before you became a tech?
Thousands.
You did thousands.
Literally thousands.
And you can remember the ones that gave you trouble still to this day.
We got to have a video on stories.
Yeah,
we need
I think that would be great having you there for stories. Yeah.
Well, I think we're running out of time, buddy.
Okay, one more thing is when you get done with that, we call it a waffle pad. A waffle pad, pretty easy.
Yeah.
This here, you could burn paint really, really easy, where it can come up and go, you can catch it. So you have to be careful, but there's a swirl mark remover and a waffle pad. The key is not to get it hot, not to get this thing hot. You don't want to, because you can change molecules around, you can move it around a little bit, and you do not want to get it. Yeah, you don't want to get it.
Especially red. Red's a tough color.
So I'm going to end it with, be careful, okay? I used to do this as a living. I don't do it anymore as a living. I help friends out. But I sure like to see cars done right when I go out.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that anymore. I mean, let's be honest, right? We all see that in this world. People don't do work like they used to. They don't care. They don't take pride in it. They charge more money and they do less. So again, we'll end with this is take your time in hiring somebody.
Sure.
Definitely get reviews.
Reviews.
Yes, it's better if you can obviously get people who you actually personally know.
Right.
They know I use this mechanic. Hey, I use this guy for 20 years. He's still honest and reliable.
But ask a lot of questions.
I was going to say, even then, look at the reviews online. They do matter. And ask the guy a lot of questions. Interview him. I got no problem with interviewing
And see his
people
work.
before I ever use them. See his work or her work, right?
Her work,
Yeah.
yeah.
So take your time beforehand and make your best shot at getting somebody that's reliable, that's going to do what you want. Now, another thing, clarify on the contract, have it written what you want done. We mentioned some things like doing a sealer underneath this panel we had replaced. Never clarified that I wanted them to do it, so they didn't do it. That was my responsibility.
Also take pictures because
Ooh.
if he burnt the paint, he gets it. Well, it was like that for me.
Right.
It was like, I didn't do that.
Right.
But if he burnt the paint, he's going to be liable for a spot.
Yeah, take pictures of your entire car because even areas they're not working on, you may get it back and something's missing or happened.
Yes.
So take pictures of your car. It's just a precaution. Easy enough to do on your
This is the
phone.
best tool in the world.
Yeah,
I tell all my students at school, when you go to a junkyard or do something, take pictures of parts and pieces and whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, and before you take something apart, right, in mechanics,
Yeah.
you know what it looks like when you go to put it back here. It makes it easy.
My favorite is brakes.
Yeah.
I always take a picture on one side. So I
Don't
can,
jam brakes for the airflow.
yeah.
All right, so do your due diligence up front in hiring somebody. Make sure you get things written on a contract. Take pictures. When you get it back, look at your car. Make sure everything on the contract is that you want it done, agreed would be done, is done suitably, and then know what you need to do next. Generally, when you get a paint job, you're going to end up having to do the fine detailing like Steve talked about, and hopefully you understand everything he talked about here today, and we're going to start working on it.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm Chip.
And bam.
And I'm Steve, and we're at
Chip's Garage.